The Montauk Project, history's most controversial experiment in time. The Montauk Project asserts how radar was supposedly used to manipulate matter and time. The Montauk Project refers to a series of top-secret United States government projects, experiments, conducted at the Montauk Air Force radio station in Montauk, New York, located on the eastern tip of Long Island, New York. Apparently, this Air Force radar station had a vast complex hidden below it. Strange things have powerful echoes in 1,000 stories, and the Montauk Project is no exception. These stories tell us how radar was used to manipulate matter and time, starting with the Project Rainbow. The top-secret experiments are thought to involve the following: mind control, teleportation, time travel, controlled black holes, experiments with psychotronics. However, the legend of the Montauk Project time travel experience began not on Long Island but in Philadelphia in 1943. Project Rainbow was a top-secret military operation to develop a system that would turn vessels invisible on the enemy's radars. It was the first attempt to create a form of stealth technology. The vessel that underwent these strange tests was a Navy destroyer named the USS Eldridge. This ship was housed at the Philadelphia Naval Yard. The USS Eldridge. The number of reports claim that the Eldridge was hammered with various forms of electromagnetic energy during the tests. After a period of time, this energy did actually manage to turn the ship radar invisible, but they had gone too far. The entire ship turned completely invisible and morphed to the coast of Norfolk, Virginia. This whole process lasted only for a few seconds before the ship reappeared in Philadelphia again, and when the ship returned, a panic ensued to make sure everything was all right. The military personnel quickly scanned the outside of the ship and was thankful to see everything in place, at least at first sight. A few survivors from the ship had gone completely insane by the inhuman ordeal. There was no return for them either. The government and the top military officials knew they had crossed the line and pulled all funding from the Philadelphia project, and this could never happen again. The funding was instead channeled to the Manhattan Project, where they hoped to have more success with a new military weapon. We all know how that turned out. Endless possibilities. A lot of the scientists and military officials involved in the original Philadelphia project knew that they were onto something big. They could not just leave this idea fade away, and the possibilities were endless, and in their opinion, they far outweighed the dangers. They decided among themselves to ignore their peers and somehow carry on with these dark experiments. So a secret experiment base was built at the radar station in Long Island, where they knew they would not be disturbed by the public. This obsolete Air Force station was known by the code name Camp Hero. The Camp Hero radar station? The spot was extremely close to New York City, but the immediate area around it was quite sparsely populated, and this was the perfect spot for the experiments to continue. But in the 1960s, a huge subterranean complex was completed at Camp Hero, and the experiments were again allowed to flow. Mind control experiments seem to have been the most popular project at the complex. Young men from all over the country were gathered and brought there because of their psychic abilities. A unique and powerful medical chair was built to enhance the test subjects' latent psychic abilities. The men were able to sit in this chair as the scientists hammered it with various forms of energy waves. And when they were subjected to this mass energy, the scientists were finding it possible to actually control them. They found out that the most adept of these male psychics was able to focus on objects so intensely that the objects would momentarily physically materialize, and this young psychic's name was Duncan Cameron. The scientists began to use Duncan Cameron's elite powers to manipulate reality and open dimensions where the man had no business being, time itself was at the mercy of these manic scientists, and onlookers knew that things were fast getting out of hand. It got to the point where wormholes were constantly being created so that the head scientists could manipulate time. It was decided that a huge experiment would take place, and they would use one of these wormholes to travel back in time 40 years. Black holes and wormholes were created. They wanted to arrive at a point in time just before the events of the USS Eldridge took place. If they managed to get back there, maybe they could inform the military where did they go wrong. The scientists who were against these tests saw their chance to end the madness once and for all and turned towards Duncan Cameron's elite powers. When this brave new experiment was taking place, they got Cameron to unleash all manner of crazy powers to stop the rot once and for all. The result was catastrophic for the Montauk-project experiments with time. Every wormhole and time travel device housed there was destroyed by Duncan Cameron's impressive psychic abilities. An end to the madness? The Montauk project was at the point of no return. The base was practically destroyed, and all of the scientists' work had gone with it. The young psychics who had been housed there were brainwashed so that they could not repeat what they had witnessed there, and they were then released back into the world. The scientists and civic workers all swore oaths of secrecy, knowing full well that if they ever opened their mouths, they would disappear one night, and the base was abandoned. But some people claim minimal activity still goes on there, even to this day. Conclusion? For some, the Montauk Project is nothing but a conspiracy theory based on imagination and intense enthusiasm. But for many, all these experiments are as real as we are living in this world. However, today there is none who can confirm the existence of the Montauk Project. What are your opinions? The Montauk Project and Camp Hero? Do you think these are now nothing more than fantasy and a derelict site for teenager stoners? Or do you think that all these terrible experiments once really were conducted and some form of experimentation still takes place there? This is by Collective Spark. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.